100%.
It
Like,
seems hypocritical.
Like, how is it not?
Yeah, dude. All right.
I'm glad I'm not the only person who thinks that, because that seems extremely hypocritical to me. If you're going to have somebody held in a U.S. prison for marijuana, when you just traded a terrorist for an athlete who was imprisoned over marijuana.
And not only a terrorist. Okay, this is a massive...
elite terrorist.
Massive elite, if you will.
What? Be closer to the mic.
Oh, international arms dealer. Yeah. I mean, they made a fucking movie about him.
Right. Nick Cage. Great movie.
Held it down for him. Lord of War.
Yeah.
Now, I do, whenever I don't know enough about someone, I smoke a little weed and I dive into them on YouTube and I kind of watch every little thing I can about them. And Victor Bout was a once-in-a-lifetime type of criminal, and he was very, very good at what he did, which... Now, whenever I hear Russian and very, very good at what he did, I always connect that with somehow being connected to the Kremlin or Russian KGB, secret police, whatever. Yeah. Because the only way that a criminal really is successful out of Russia is if they are. Mm-hmm. Now, if you saw Lord of War, I don't know how... I mean, I'm sure it had a sprinkle of Hollywood dust on it, so I mean, you gotta take everything with a grain of salt. But even if a fraction of that movie is true, I mean, how are we releasing him for what we released him for? I mean,
yeah, I don't understand that. And whatever happened to we don't do business with terrorists? We don't negotiate with terrorists.
That was strictly 2008.
Oh. I mean, come on, dude.
Seriously, though.
Like, dude,
you gotta laugh at that.
When we were in country, like, that was
what we triumphed on.
Oh my god! I would fucking take that to my grave. Like,
I mean, you did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was about to. But people, the way that we took it, like back then, that under no circumstances do we negotiate with terrorists.
No.
And that just went out the window.
See you later.
Yeah. I don't get it, man.
Hold on real quick, just gonna make sure that we're still recording.
Yeah. Quick tea.
We're back. So yeah,
I love this new setup where I can hear myself.
I know. You can actually fix it if you're like...
Right.
Being a bonehead and not talking to the mic.
Yeah. Ooh, that was really clear. Do that again.
Hello.
I wonder if you just talked here.
Can I get a hey, how are ya?
How are you? Yeah. Brittany Griner back in town. If she doesn't come out to the next WNBA game with Kid Rock's American Badass playing or something like.
I mean, there's so many ways you can. There's so many ways you can look at that, because she's not a patriot. She shit all over America, and yet America's going over there to save her ass. I mean, but then once again, she is technically an American citizen that was rolled up by Russia. So it's like, where do you sit on it? I mean, if you're a patriot, technically, any American that's ganked by another country, you gotta feel some type of way about that, because that's that country flexing on you.
I definitely feel like she should have been brought home. I just don't think that was the right move.
No, I absolutely agree with you.
I would never want to see any American.
Not only that, there was a Marine over there.
Well, yeah, that's where I'm going to. Like, I don't want to see any American imprisoned overseas anywhere and not try to be brought home. And then when you bring this lady home and you left the Marine,
like. So that's basically saying media runs the world.
It's 100% what that says.
It is.
It says that if you can sell ads on Channel 5 when I talk about this story, then that's what we care about.
That is a scary concept, especially in the time that we live in, because you can really, if you push a topic on a media outlet and they pick it up and it circulates through our Instagram, through our TikToks, through our TVs, you can create a narrative on anything, and that's just a scary thing for me, man.
Yeah,
because
it's tough to think of that.
I mean, if anyone's really looked into who runs these media outlets, it's a scary thing, man. Because I mean, they're not. I don't want to say good people, but they're not the government or the American populace.
They're the puppets, dude.
Well, it's massive corporations that own all of the media outlets. So
Yeah,
if they want something pushed and put into circulation, they're gonna do it, and it's not because it's something that's good for us. It's something that they're trying to sell, or it's something that's they're trying to push to get something else out of it, and it's not something that I don't know. I think we should just be more aware of what we're hearing and what we're seeing. And
too many people don't do their own research.
Absolutely.
That's a huge thing, man.
Cannot believe everything you heard that you're told.
Yeah, too many people watch an episode of Channel 5 News and that's what they live by. Like, do yourself a little bit of due diligence and do a little bit of research, man. I mean, not every network is going to tell you the same story.
You got to look at both sides too.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
There's two sides to every story always. A little bit of critical thinking needs to be applied. You cannot trust and believe everything you're told. Who knows where it's coming from? Who knows if your source is biased? Because they're not going to come out and tell you that.
And without alternative news outlets like Newsmax and Saga and what's the other guy? Something in Saga, I forget. But those networks are the ones that start to blow the top off of this.
Yep.
Because they're the only ones that are going to tell
independent news networks.
Thank you, independent. Those are the guys that are going to tell you the truth.
Even journalists, just independent journalists that are not working for a massive CNN, NBC, ABC.
And those channels and those outlets are around now. But it makes you wonder how long this shit was going on before.
Back in the day, dude.
Yes,
oh,
dude.
Man.
Like how many times how many stories from the 80s were portrayed a certain way?
Kennedy, Watergate.
80s, 70s, 60s, any of them to today that are portrayed in a certain way. But back then, that's the only media outlet they had.
That's the only news you heard.
Yeah. You did that, or you read the fucking newspaper.
Yep.
And that was your only source of news.
Yep.
So you believed everything that they threw out.
What you just said kind of hit me because newspaper was huge back in the day.
Yeah.
Everyone read the paper in the morning.
And back in the day, it wasn't like CNN had a newspaper and Fox had a newspaper.
Yeah, it was one.
There was just the newspaper.
Yeah.
So if you were a journalist for that newspaper corporation, everybody's mind is in your hands.
Absolutely.
They're gonna, you're feeding the fire.
You influence millions.
Yeah.
And the millions that you influence really aren't aware of their biases. Their, how they feel, what they believe in. And
Well, they wouldn't have had an opportunity to figure it out back then.
No.
If you don't have any other outlet.
No. Nope. Unless you're living it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, unless you're living it, unless you're working for the CIA.
It's scary.
Or one of those organizations.
It's scary to think about. We're lucky to be in a time and age that we can do independent, research about things. It's the internet still is free at this time, you know what I mean? So take advantage of it while you can. Learn, see what's really going on.
Do you remember it was probably like 15 years ago now. I remember there being a news story that they were going to start charging for emails.
Yeah.
Because the post office was pissed off.
Yeah. I saw that. I remember seeing that.
Charging for fucking emails.
Oh, I think we got...
We got a call?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, brother? So we are on Zoom right now. We're actually on the pod right now. So this is...
Send me the link.
I don't... hold on, stand by. Let me try to shoot it over to you. I just thought it was my email you could look up or my name.
What you would do is, there should be like a meeting ID.
Okay.
Personal name, link name?
Yeah, a link name, yeah.
What's the link name?
Nothing, that's his email.
Oh, let me see if I can get it.
A few moments later.
I know Nick, you and I definitely spoke a lot, and it's it's a true honor, it's a true privilege to be on here for you. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely.
I was just climbing the steps in my house. This is not the most appropriate background when I go over here.
No, you're good, dude. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
I'm bringing you live into my bedroom right now. So
we're live in my basement, so
We were trying
Yeah,
to figure out what you would call the color of your background. Is it cream? Is it
Gold.
opaque?
gold. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Cool. Gotcha.
oh fuck, I never would have guessed
I know,
that.
me.
Yeah. I told my wife I kind of just want one color in here, just gold, something shiny, you know.
I like it. So, Mark, if you will, give us a little bit background about you. Yeah, tell us where you come from a little bit. Tell us your journey in the Marines, what you did, who you were with, and how you ended up here.
Yeah. So once again, thank you both for inviting me on the show. Huge fan of the show. I think more people need to watch it. It's real. It's down to earth. More veterans need to watch it. You guys do some great things. So I first want to, salute you and thank you both for starting this, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of courage, and a lot of time, and unfortunately, as we get older, I think you said that on the last show, as we get older, we seem to have less time and less time,
Absolutely.
So a little bit about myself. I was born in New Jersey. I grew up here in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I went to school here. I went to college at Rutgers University. It's in Camden, New Jersey. And from there, I joined the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps.
You joined the Marines right out of college, or?
I did. It was kind of interesting. When I was in college, I wasn't the most conservative guy. I wasn't the most liberal guy. I was educated on politics and world events, but I never really saw the value of military. It was actually, when I saw my younger brother, who's a gunnery sergeant in Second Force Reconnaissance in North Carolina, when I saw him walk across that parade deck, 13 weeks later at a boot camp, that metamorphosis, that change that
hit you in the chest.
Yeah.
Go through. I mean, you guys know, I don't have to repeat it, but I saw what he had become, and I was like, I wanted that, and my father was a Marine.
So it's in the family big time.
It is. My great grandfather actually immigrated here from what was then Austria-Hungary, and Slovakia, those areas. And he came here and actually fought in World War I. He was, in the Army initially. And when my great grandmother refused to marry him, he joined the Marine Corps. And then he was actually in the Battle of Bella Wood, right?
So it meant a lot. It meant a lot to him to be a patriot.
I think those generations of immigrants were a little bit different than kind of what we're seeing now.
You think?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just said you think, like how completely different nowadays.
Much different now.
I do. They came over here with very little and they worked. And I'm not saying current generations of immigrants don't do that. I just see a little bit more, I think, entitlement, and I think, there's a lot to be said on both sides. That's neither here or there, but yeah, I think it was just a different caliber of people back then, and they came here and they wanted to serve. They wanted to be American.
Yes.
And that's what, I think I see a clear distinction of, is those people, when they came here from whatever country, they wanted to be American. They wanted to adopt the cultures.
Well, not only that, they came over here to be free. And that meant a lot to them.
Assimilate and be free, correct. So, but he was in the Battle of Bella Wood. He got a Purple Heart. He was.
He was in Bella Wood.
He was, yeah. He was in Bella Wood, right? And then my grandfather was in the Battle of Guadalcanal. He fought against the Imperial Japanese. His ship was the USS Aaron Ward. It was kamikazed by the Japanese.
Wow.
He was one of a handful of people that survived, and
he lived to tell the tale.
He lived to tell the tale, although they never really talked about it too much, and it's interesting. My mother's father was in the Korean War, the real forgotten war. And he told everybody till the day he died, he was a cook, because they were coming off of the backs of the World War II generation, so you really didn't brag, around those World War II guys. So he told everybody he was a cook, but he was actually in the infantry. He fought against the communist China and the North Koreans. And, I'm sure there were some Russians in there as well, but yeah, and then my father was in. He didn't really see any conflicts. It was just after Vietnam. But then, here I am, college graduate. I see my brother walk across the parade deck, and just that call that, that you hear, something in me just changed. I saw that and I said, I wanted that. I wanted to live up to that. I wanted to be that. I wanted something for myself. And,
Were you in college when your brother was graduating boot camp?
I did. Yeah, I was. I was in my junior year of college. And
so you knew about the officer program and how you could do it?
Not really. No. No. I mean, they don't really educate us too much in civics anymore or military history. I mean, even in public schools, I mean, you learn a little bit, but it doesn't really get into detail. So, I mean, a lot of that I learned on my own. I thought I was going to Paris Island as soon as I saw that, as soon as
Yeah, I bet that's
comparatively though, I mean, I probably would have took Paris Island over Quantico any day. I mean, Quantico.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quantico was definitely not fun.
No.
Probably the best training in my life. You're around, leaders of Marines, the best individuals in the world. I mean, there's nothing like being around Marines, as you gentlemen know.
Hell yeah.
But I graduated college and I went to OCS. And
that's a big decision.
It's a life-changing decision. Just like anybody joining a service or a first responder or anything, you don't even know what you're getting into.
Now, what was the year?
When I joined, it was January 2008.
Oh,
we
same as
joined,
us.
Yeah, we joined 2008.
June.
Yeah, brutally cold. I remember it was a brutal cold winter, and just the same. A number of weeks later, I'm in TBS, the basic school, and then I'm on my way to infantry officer course, which. Again, just some of the best and most lethal training, there is around. So
something you can really shine a light on that means a lot to me. So we spoke on leadership a little bit, I think on the first or second podcast, and being a true leader means a lot to us because doing what myself and Mike did, we deal with a lot of different types of leaders, and the ones that can really utilize their NCOs, go into a scenario and not have how do I put this politically correct?
Very direct person, but I know you guys got a show to run, so say it like you would want to.
Not that stubborn, pig-headedness, know everything, know it all mentality. Go into what happened there with the. Hold on, we're having audio issues.
Just shut off.
Yeah.
Did it just die?
No, I just put new batteries in.
Oh, you got it.
Sorry, Mike.
Stand by.
No apologies needed, gentlemen.
Check.
We got a brand new system going on here.
That's cool. I can hear you both very well on this side.
Well, hold on, let me finish reading the SD. There we go.
Check. Here we go. And we're back rocking. So sorry about that, Mark. Yeah, tell us about going into maybe a new unit and utilizing your NCOs to kind of give you the lay of the land. What the fuck? I think we're dying. Sorry, buddy.
You
me grab two batteries.
Stand by. I'm gonna keep talking with you. But anyways, yeah, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. I can talk. I mean,
kind of trying to shine a light on that for me. Talk to me about going into a new unit, not knowing anyone, and utilizing your NCOs, if you will. And do you hear me when I say what I'm saying? Do you kind of understand what I'm talking about? Can you feel it?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think you hit on a lot of important and great questions, even for, your viewers out there that are watching this that are even looking for something. I mean, the military is a great bastion and a great beacon to develop leaders. There's always a saying that leaders aren't born, they're made through hard work and fire and blood and sweat and tears. Leaders, they're created. And I think in my experiences, the best leaders always lead from the front.
Absolutely.
But the best leaders know how to delegate, and they know how to empower their subordinate leaders. And what I mean by that is, even though you're leading from the front, you need to go into that room or that setting, and you need to bring your leaders in, and you have a question or a mission, something you need to execute. Everybody's there at the table. They know you're in charge. Whether you're the lieutenant, whether you're the gunny, they know you're in charge. What you need to do as a leader is, realize your people's strengths and weaknesses and exploit them. Find out what people are good at and motivate them. Leaders, to me, the most effective leaders that I've seen could blur that line between fraternization and being in charge.
Absolutely.
And what I mean is, you can have drinks with your buddies or your Marines on one hand, but at the end of the day, you got a job to do and a mission. They know who's in charge, they know who's calling the shots, you're making the decisions, and you go and do it. some of the worst leaders that I saw were unknowledgeable about what they were going to do.
Hit the nail on the head right there.
You have to know what you're doing, and you have to be knowledgeable and you have to be educated.
You have to be okay with being able to say, hey, I don't know what's going on here. You can't be afraid of fucking up and learning from it.
And you're right. There's a million things you're not going to know, but you can find out. If you don't know something, you find out. You don't just leave it open, but you keep your people informed too, whether it's something at work, whether it's in the military. You make sure your people that you're leading and that are following you, they know what the hell's going on. You don't keep people in the dark either, and good leaders can effectively communicate. They can effectively task orient. They can effectively decide.
Sure.
That's what you want as a leader. Might not always be the right decisions, but it's the person in charge making the decisions that really counts, that people look up to, So
yeah, that's huge, man.
The burden of leadership, if you will.
Sure.
Having people that can blur that line between fraternization and calling the shots is I feel like that's the glue that keeps the Marine Corps together.
You create a certain type of relationship when you can effectively go out have drinks with your guys and create a bond, create a leadership, but also not blur the line of, hey, I'm the guy that's running the show here. And
sure.
Yeah, the fact that if you can get junior Marines to know that, all right, when we go out with Sergeant Smith, it's fun, but Monday morning, it's ready to rock and roll.
The hierarchy remains.
Yeah, I had that bond with my guys. I had that ability to work with my guys like that, and I really do. I feel like that's the glue that keeps the Marine Corps together. The blend between the ranks there.
And it's beautiful when you can achieve that, because when you have that, it.
For
Yeah,
sure. Definitely.
Yeah. And you don't want to let it go.
It means a lot.
You don't want guys to get out. You don't want guys to PCS.
You almost want to go over the top with letting your subordinates or officers know that you respect that line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you can handle that.
Yeah.
Sure. No, that all makes sense.
Could you could you give us an example, or tell us someone that kind of made a difference in your life and showed you the principles of leadership and how to act, really, if you would? Or someone to emulate yourself off, if you will?
No, I mean, I've been around great leaders. I grew up, God-fearing. So I grew up, I went to church, I learned leadership. I always thought that the first school always starts at home, for people that have parents and families. And unfortunately, some people don't, and it's unfortunate, but I grew up with a loving family. My father was a Marine. So I feared him the most next to God when I was growing up. He ruled with an iron fist. But you spare the rod, you spoil the child, right? So it was always important to have that structure in my life. So I would say, honestly, my father, and kind of my grandfathers, I always had that leadership because of that military background instilled in my family. What they gave me was precious. And now, I look to myself. My wife just had triplets, so I've got.
Holy shit! Congratulations.
Yeah,
my man can't miss.
Yeah,
No shit.
It's
Swinging for the fences.
You talk about leadership. You talk about leading Marines in combat, whether it's Afghanistan. All the hardships you got at work. I've got 5 daughters. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, Fiddler on the Roof, but there's the guy in there. He's the head character of the play. His name's Tevye, and he has 5 daughters. Different times, but. Yeah, everybody talks to him like, how many children do you have? He's like, I got 5 daughters. They're like, 5 daughters? So I got a 5-year-old.
My wife's one of 5, all girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been truly blessed, right? So, but, getting the news that I'm having triplets, and every day it's just, you're up at 3 a.m. and you're going to bed at 10 or 11 at night. I mean, the reality is you can't drink because you got to feed them in the morning. I mean, you ever wake up with a hangover and you got to feed 3 screaming babies? You go sober really quick, so that's kind of my sanity check next to, working out all day and doing everything else and working. But, I really don't like to sleep. That comes from, I think, a lot of routine and a lot of discipline and a lot of days of not sleeping. But, that requires a certain degree of leadership, but I look to myself and all the great people I was around, and I don't know if I'd be able to handle that, had I not been developed by, my family. And then, the military, it kicks your ass into overdrive, into hard drive, and it shows you things that you probably could never do as a civilian. And, I'll credit the military with at least some of that, the discipline to get up, the discipline to feed your family, to do what you have to do, put food on the table, because I think a lot of those values aren't taught anymore in society like they used to be. I mean, people don't strive for, large families anymore. People don't strive for, going to church, and, a lot of things that, when I was growing up were morally and ethically the right thing to do. Society's changed a little bit. Doesn't mean I have to, but
I like it.
yeah, but I mean, I would have to always give a shout out to when I was in Afghanistan, my platoon sergeant, gunnery sergeant Daniel LeBron. He was about a 6'7" New Yorican, and this guy, he was the enforcer. Oh yeah, and I'll tell you that straight up. He was the
I'm sure he
enforcer.
would.
He had my back 24/7 over there. Iraq vet. I mean, he got blown up more times than I could count, shot at more times than I can count, and he was the real deal. So
Salty
going
individual.
into war with him, an Iraq vet, straight out of New York. I mean, him and I clicked. He was New York, I was New Jersey. We had that immediate connection, but I mean, he let me play in my left and right lateral limits. He took care of the boys. I took care of the higher ups, and we had that cohesion from day one, so leadership wise, as a subordinate leader, I don't think there's anybody better to develop, an officer than my platoon sergeant.
I believe it's very, very
for me
important to
as I
have someone like
progressed.
that. Absolutely. It's imperative
Yeah.
that you have someone like that over there.
Yeah, you never want to see anybody fail, and he made damn sure I didn't fail, because if I failed, that means the boys would fail.
And
so.
that's not an option.
Never. No, but great questions though.
Tell us a little bit about Iraq and Afghanistan. Tell us a little bit of what you got into over there and what you were doing.
So, truth be told, I was never in Iraq. I primarily served in Afghanistan. I was in 2008. So my first combat tour was in 2010. I was in the Helmand province of Afghanistan for Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines. We were during Operation Enduring Freedom. We were in the NAWA district during that time. We did some missions up in Trek NAWA and the border of Marja a little bit. But just like anything, we were over there during the push to Marja. We were over there when the conflict was really, they call it the resurgence, was really heating up. But I was over there with a lot of good guys. Some guys that we lost. Some guys from your area up north. I did serve with General Kelly's son, Robert Kelly, and
Oh, no kidding.
and I'm not just name dropping. I mean, these are all guys that gave their lives in Afghanistan, and I'm giving them a shout out.
Yeah,
but,
Kelly's a well-known name up here.
Yeah, it is.
Robert
yeah,
Kelly.
yeah, but great guys.
Did you say that you were kind of 50-50 mounted, dismounted?
No, I would say we were more about 80-20 dismounted to mounted.
Gotcha.
For the first probably 4 months of my time over there with my platoon, because I was a platoon commander, we were mostly dismounted operations.
Okay.
We were really interdicting a lot of traffic from Quetta, Pakistan into Marja, a lot of the drug flow, a lot of the IEDs. I mean, I couldn't even count how many times, we saw IEDs over there. It was just, even when I got back home and I was running down the road, it's like I was scanning. I'm like, hey, what the hell am I doing? I'm
Same with us,
scanning.
bro.
Yeah, man,
Same with us.
thing.
Yeah, you don't want to
Or-
get blown up.
or drive.
Getting blown up.
July 4th was a big one for us. I mean, the fireworks and stuff like that, like coming from an environment where 24/7 you're risking being blown up, it's difficult coming back home and balancing that, if you will.
Yeah, but we were very kinetic over there. We lost quite a few guys. I mean, Kelly, William Donnelly. We lost a buddy of mine, Scott Fleming. He was actually shot in the neck in my AO. Oddly enough, by the people we were trying to protect. Right. We got a lot of amputees. Cameron West lost his leg. Another buddy named Perry. James Byler, he's out of Boston, I think, or New York right now. He actually was like a quadruple amputee almost.
Oh,
damn. They compared my class, and it's nothing to brag about, to, it was so kinetic. We lost more officers in that class than had been since like Vietnam or something, even more than like Iraq. It was just that year, there was such a push. And a lot of it was in, I want to say 3-5's area, Dark Horse, and some of those areas out there, really kinetic. But
Yeah, absolutely.
it is what it is. My first week in country, our first actual incident, when we weren't, dismounting or searching for IEDs or bad guys. I remember we had to do an investigation for two neighbors, and you guys would probably know this. They got in a scuffle, and one of his neighbors threw the other guy in a wood chipper. So when my Marines, oh yeah, and when my Marines got out there, I got the call on the radio. It's Lima 1, go for Lima 1. This is 2 actual. There's nothing left, sir. And I'm like, what do you mean?
No.
You threw the guy in the wood chipper, and I'm like, all
He's been
right.
effectively
He's like,
chipped.
yeah, what do we do? Call the Afghan police. Let them investigate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see how
Come to
that
find
goes.
out, the guy that threw him in the wood chipper was the Afghan police officer. You know what I mean? So,
God.
and it's just like,
Not
these are the
surprised.
guys
No,
that are
I'm
supposed
not
to be our
either.
allies. You know what I
So
mean?
were you mainly dealing with highway patrol, police, army, or who were you working with? ANA?
We were embedded with the ANA, the Afghan National Army. The police patrolled the area, but the ANA, as you guys know, did not like the ANP too
Big time.
much. I mean, the ANA were mostly, the Uzbeks and the Turkmenistans. They were kind of the northern people, whereas the ANA were like the Pashto. So they culturally really didn't, get along too well in my area.
Whenever ANA would talk about Pashtun, they'd always spit on the ground.
Yeah, they
Very
didn't
cliquey
like
over there.
I know. Yeah, it
Well,
was
you probably don't
interesting.
have many friends.
True.
There's not a whole lot going on. Not like you can.
Still, it's funny how like the people that spoke Dari would look down on Pashtun like they were just the hillbillies or the scum of Afghanistan.
the gypsies.
Yeah.
They are dirt worshipping savages. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Exactly.
They have
Well put.
houses and yeah, I mean they're not my words. That's
No.
the Afghan commander when he wasn't with his little boys on Man Love Thursday. That's
Speak
how they
on
talk
that,
about
please. I
compassion.
spoke on that on my Soft White Underbelly interview, and it was funny because in the comments it really shocked a lot of people. They weren't aware of just how
Chai boy.
chai boys work over there, how gay they are, and I'm not saying that as an insult, but they are all
but it's real. Like that's a
homosexual.
real thing.
Yeah,
It's completely real. Look, I wrote a book for my Marines. It's called Second Platoon, Call Sign Hades. So I wrote it for the deployment. When I got back, I was actually on Dr. Michael Savage's radio. He has a podcast. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Michael Savage, but he asked me that exact question. And I told him, yes, it is real. Like men over there love little boys. And he's like, why didn't you do anything about it? And I said, we would have loved to
that's not
taken care of all of them, but then
Right.
it would be an international incident. We'd be arrested. I mean, these were our allies, but this is the behavior that we had to deal with. I mean, it's just a culture thing. We had to investigate an incident for a 55-year-old man that married a 7-year-old girl, and he, raped her to death on her wedding night.
What
and
the
it's just like, how does a 7-year-old marry a 55-year-old? Well, it's called a dowry.
Yep.
And,
So did you sit on many Ashura?
What's that?
Did you often participate in Ashura in your AO?
Yeah,
or-
Shuras and Jirgas. Yeah, we had those. So whenever we had anything big going on in the community, we'd always bring in the tribal elders or the community leaders. Those happen frequently. I think it's a lot more talking than actual execution. But you always want to try.
What would you notice that they really were looking for over there? Like, was it just they were looking at some kind of dowry, if you will, or some kind of payout, or did they actually care about the people that they lived with?
What I saw when I was over there might be a little bit different than what other people saw. When I was over there, we were flooding that area with taxpayer dollars, and I almost got reprimanded with a nip lock from my captain because we had CAG and all these other organizations in the area, and they would say, go out and find projects. Let's build this guy a well, or let's build this road. And here's $20,000. Just give it to him. And I actually refused to do that in my first month in country. And they called me right to my company operating post. Cop Torgar was the name. And I got reamed by my CO. He's like, Bodrog, the other platoon commanders are spending this much money. You're not spending anything. And I'm like, well, I'm being frugal. I'm being conservative. I don't think we need to spend money. They're like, no, you got to build wells. You've got to build schools. I'm like, they blow them up, first off. And second off, I'm not building a well for the mayor who won't share it with the people in the town. You know what I mean? So it
And
kind
who
of
just had
became
some fucking 8-year-old bent over behind him?
How can it shocks me that our higher up or our hierarchy can be so, I don't want to say short-sighted or just ignorant to think that influxing an area like that with raw cash, do you know what that's going to cause? Like that, where do they really think that money's going to go? Like life over there is cheap. Over there, if they've never seen money like that. You bring just bags of 20K.
It's not even that, is what's going to happen when you're flooding that area with money and the money is
Trust me.
removed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of what we're seeing now. I mean, $88 billion in weapons and
Oh my God,
munitions
don't get me
left in
fired
that
up, Mark.
area. I mean, you saw the Taliban are torturing women again. I kind of look back and I'm like, you know, what the hell? You know, my buddies died for
How
this.
can you
and
not look at that?
Mark,
Like, we talk about that a lot.
Yeah, not to cut you off, but we have the same feeling.
Yeah.
I've got
it was a
20
disgrace.
23 guys. There are 23 names on that
Yeah.
bracelet, and I wonder, like, what does
was it for?
Blancato's parents think of what's going on?
Oh, it's
What
a
do they think
disgrace.
you know what I mean? Like, what does Ford's parents think that that their son came home and shot themselves because they
My
were exposed?
personal feeling, military leadership should have been fired, and nobody was. And not only were they
Absolutely.
not fired, they're still in charge to this day, making
Yep.
decisions
Yeah.
on
Yep.
Ukraine
mistakes,
and
man.
Taiwan and everything else. You
How,
know?
how
Yeah.
can that not like really show you that it was all just a play? It was all just a move. They didn't care what we were doing. I mean, it was just a calculated. I feel very strongly about that stuff, and it didn't. A lot of the things over there just didn't make sense that we were doing. We were handcuffed in a lot of areas. We weren't allowed to actually go and just chop the heads off the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it
we
wasn't
weren't.
an option.
Yeah.
No, you gentlemen are absolutely right, and you have every reason, just like I do, to be upset because it's a disgrace what happened. It's a disgrace how we left. We didn't have to leave like that.
No,
You
absolutely.
know,
man.
we've been in Korea for 60 years. We've been in Europe for how many years? We have to leave Afghanistan immediately. I mean, we're in all these areas for close to a century, and we're still there. Nobody says anything. You know what I mean? It's why didn't we stay in Afghanistan? You know, now, not to get off topic, China and Russia are moving in. They're taking resources. You know, it's like we go to Iraq and not get the oil. You know, why not? You know,
Right,
you're the number one
right.
power. We're there. You take it. You stay number
Yes.
one.
Thank you.
It shows how discombobulated the leadership is. Because if we're doing shit like that, what is going on up top?
Why don't our generals want to win anymore? Is my question.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to win.
doesn't make sense.
Like,
Well,
I
it
went
does.
in there to win, right? To kill the enemy, to bring my boys home and win. And the larger picture is you don't quit, leave all of your people behind. I mean, we still have Americans left over there. We left Americans
Yes,
behind.
we did. Yes, we
You know,
did.
even forget about the military casualties. We left Americans behind and they're still there. We left allies behind and they're still there. That
Crazy.
message sends signals to our enemies that
Big
this
time.
is how America does business now, you know?
Yep.
So anyway, it's nothing we're going to solve today on this podcast, but, thank you for letting me vent a little bit, gentlemen. With some
No, these
fine
things need
Marines,
to be
but
addressed and at least talked about a little bit. I mean, they can't just go unchecked.
just like you guys did, we gave part of our lives over there. We deserve
Yes, we
better
did.
from our, I don't know if they're leadership or just representatives, because there's not a hell of a lot of leadership in those elected
Yeah,
positions
absolutely.
these days.
Sadly.
So.
But
Mark, tell me about this play.
yeah, tell us about 22 a day.
So, gentlemen, thank you again for bringing me on and letting me talk about it. So when I got back, out of the Marines, I'm a civilian now. I got back home. I finally got a job after I put in 100 applications to veteran-friendly businesses. So, I start getting my shit together and I start settling down. So I started getting the calls, in my master's degree and finding a job about, Lance Corporal Ludwig, father of two, just had a baby, killed himself. Even my first week in Afghanistan, private first class suitor went into one of the porta-johns, blew his brains out with a saw gun because his girlfriend broke up with him. And that was really my first experience with suicide in the military. But it was when I got out, I started really listening and seeing and hearing, the voices and the calls and the texts and the emails. And my brother who's in the military is like, this sergeant major that retired, father of three, just killed himself, and when I was out in Hawaii seeing one of my master guns retire, about a week before I got there, a chief warrant officer just overdosed, on meds he got from the VA. And I'm not here to knock the VA, but there should have been some oversight, I think. so it started being like, well, this is everywhere, and it's never talked about. And so right around 2017, I'm working third shift. My wife is pregnant with our first, and, I can't sleep. So it's like, 1 or 2 in the morning, and I call one of my buddies in Hawaii. His call sign's Geico. And we start talking, and it was just like, we got to do something. And it's one of those adages, if not now, when? If not me, then who? Or if not us, then whom? So we were thinking about ways to attack this issue head on, because as Marines, that's what we do. Even when we, even when we fight, we're always in the attack. We go into the defense to set conditions for the offense. That's just what we do. Don't back us into a corner, because we react. And that's just how we're built. That's how we're made. And with that mentality, and that little bit of oorah motivation, we started thinking about ways to solve, or if not, ways to neutralize or make better this problem. And we had a lot of projects in mind, but what it really came down to is, how do we reach the 99% of people that have never served or don't know about this issue? And that's when it really started clicking. What do people like? What are the 99% of people like? We're consumers, and we love movies and entertainment. We like to be entertained, whether it's, football games or going out to the bar, but we want something that, we can all be a part of. And that's where we started coming up with the idea with, we were talking about a movie, we were talking about a whole bunch of things, but we said, let's do something where people can interact. So we kind of took the idea of the Vietnam Memorial Wall, where you can look at it, you can see the names, and you see your face. So we said, well, why not an interactive theatrical play? I'll be the first to tell you, I mean, I don't know too much about plays other than, what I've read on my own or what I've learned in school. So I'm not the playwright, but I was like, I'll damn sure learn this if it'll help save lives. So for about 1.5 years, working third shift, with my wife, giving birth on the first and now pregnant with the second, going back and forth for about 1.5 years. He's in Hawaii, I'm in New Jersey. We came up with, the play 22 a Day. And 22 a Day is a play designed to bring the 99% of people that have never served and act out real roles as veterans, as people in the military community, so they can get a sense of what it's like to be in the military, what it's like to go through the trials and tribulations of people that are not only in the military, but transitioning out. All the things that we encounter when we reintegrate, that's what this play does. It lets civilians be us. And there's numerous scenarios in this book to help veterans cope or to help civilians see what veterans go through. It not only is a play designed to teach people what veterans encounter, but it offers positive solutions to those encounters as well. I mean, specifically, when I was in my master's degree program at Rutgers University, veterans did not get any course credit for their honorable discharges, none. But if you did like JROTC credits, you get 6. So that was a problem. I see these big universities taking GI Bill money.
Yeah, it is.
And it's millions of dollars, but it's not going back to the veterans. So I've got all these veterans. I had a guy, a military police officer in the Air Force, spoke Farsi. He was in Iraq 3 times. He has all these federal courses, trained with the FBI, but he's got to come back and do a 4-year criminal justice degree and take a Spanish course. Now, me for one, I love languages, but there should be like a proficiency examination or something. So yeah, you'd ask me, so, what do I do? So I work in pharmaceuticals for a pretty major pharmaceutical company. So I wrote this book with my co-author, Hunter Haskins, call sign Geico, over a period of about 2 years. So the book, what it does is the play 22 a Day, which is available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. I highly encourage anybody watching this. $3.99 on Kindle. You can get it. It follows 2 veterans, Mark and Betts, through a 24-hour period. And the viewers or the people that are playing in the play, will come to face and interact with not only veterans situations, but 22 veterans over a course of 24 hours that take their lives, through suicide. And these are real veterans. These are real ghosts in the play. These are real veterans that have actually committed suicide for numerous reasons. But that's the reality of this play, is to call attention to this issue. It is an epidemic in the veteran community, and our men and women deserve better. We are losing more men and women here at home than we did in the battlefield. And they deserve better. And there's numerous ways that we can do it. And we can talk about any of them, but this play 22 a day takes it head on and addresses it. It was premiered in 2021 by MTM Players in New Egypt, New Jersey at American Legion Post 455. We, planned for 3 days, 100 people each day. We actually had the fire marshal had to give us an extension because we had so many people showing up that MTM
No
Players
shit.
actually did a fourth showing. Oh yeah, we raised close to $20,000.
Oh, wow.
It was a complete sellout. We just did a show at Rutgers University and brought it to the state level, where Rutgers University partnered with MTM Players. But it's online. People can view it, online. They can buy it. They can read it. The goal is to get energy behind this and spread the message, and that's what this was all about is saving lives. It's just a different capacity. In the Marine Corps, we were in charge of, taking them. Now that we're back home, now we got to save the lives of our brothers and sisters, because they deserve better. And I'm kind of tired of it at this point, as I know you guys are. And thank you again for letting me come on and talk about it.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think that I know I never would have thought to go that route.
No, definitely not.
To get the word to the public, but it's a fucking great idea.
You definitely communicated it effectively. That's for sure.
And I've watched it. I've watched the play, and I was impressed. I was taken back a little bit, but it's definitely it's a way to look at it that we look at like it's normal, but civilians look at like, oh shit, this is a different way.
No, it communicates it effectively to the civilian population, and it's not an easy thing to do. That's for sure. It kind of puts you in the perspective of a veteran that is kind of trying to find his way in the civilian society after being in the military and seeing what it's like when your friends start dying.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. The people that played in the play, they were all civilians, never served in the military, and they were actually wowed by it. They said, we had no idea that this was going on. They don't talk about it. It's not a big thing. You saw where the statistics came out that 22 a day, the numbers are even higher. They've been trying to, hide the statistics. If a veteran gets drunk and drives off a bridge, well, that's called drinking and driving. It's not called suicide. You know what I mean? Like the numbers, the numbers can always change based on how you look at the data and the statistics, right? But a lot of data and statistics and empirical evidence went into creating 22 a day. There's scenes where the characters are at the VA, where they're at college, where they're at their local congressman's office. And not only are these solutions, but they're breadcrumbs for veterans, because the worst thing we can do is have veterans sit around. I think the best thing for a veteran is get them a job, get them out of that darkness.
Absolutely.
Give them something to do. If they're doing something and they're occupied, they're not thinking about killing themselves. Or if they are, they don't have the time to do it, and that's kind of what the book does, is we try to give solutions to veterans that say, hey, you got some ideas, do it this way, or you're thinking about this, go do that. Stay motivated, keep the energy going. So,
hey man, props to you for doing this. I think that it's great that you're trying to communicate this to the world. Not a lot of people are, and it's kind of something that kind of puts you in a awkward position to talk about, because it's something that sucks. It's not a good thing, but it needs to be addressed. It needs to be put at the forefront of our society somehow, and and you're doing that. And
it's
you, man.
I read a good article years ago where it said our society is screaming for leadership. There's a lot of people out there that are afraid. There's a lot of people out there that can't lead. And, even in our country right now, we have a lot of issues, and we're losing a lot of good warriors that could fix a lot of these issues. And, we have to, I say we, this is a much larger issue than me, but this has got to end. We have so much money invested in our veterans. When they get back, we just don't do anything to help, or at least we try, but the solutions aren't working. So we try something else. So we keep trying until we find the answer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet, because I want to get you up here. I want to get you up to the man cave, and I want to show you Boston, and I want to have a one-on-one kind of interview with you. To me, there's nothing better than getting someone in person and really communicating what they're trying to communicate, because it comes off much better, in my opinion. And
we'll definitely do it. Absolutely, we'll definitely do it. If it's to help veterans, spread the message, sell a few books in the process just to get the word out, absolutely. no doubt. From a brother to a brother, absolutely. You know, it needs to happen.
Oh yeah.
So
Well-
we'll definitely figure out a time. But I definitely want people to check it out. You know, we got
So
some
22 a
momentum.
day, guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead, shout it out. What platforms are on again?
So 22 a day is on multiple platforms. I mean, I'm on Twitter. You know, I can give you my Twitter handle. I'm on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. You know, you can find it on YouTube. You know, it's, you know, people are looking for it. They can find it. 22 a day. You know,
We'll
theatrical
tag
play.
it in our description as well. So
Absolutely,
they can pull it down.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put some links in there and show me the book one more time.
Yeah. So this is actually a movie that we made off of it, but it,
No,
you know,
the book that you wrote, bro.
So 22 a day was one of the books. This is Second Platoon, Call Sign Hades. So
Call
this
Sign
book
Hades,
was just
Second
about my Marines in Afghanistan. Did a hell of a lot of good stuff over there. You know, we actually did some things, you know, that created military doctrine. I wanted to put it in the history books. You know, as you guys know, not a lot is talked about on America's longest war. It's our longest and least talked about war. Our boys, our brothers and sisters over there did a hell of a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't see a lot of that, being reported when I was there. So I put it in a book. This book has pictures, but it lets you know what those 17, 18, and 19-year-olds are going through and what they're doing over there. And I wanted to document it because, Marines are bastards of history. If we don't take care of our own history, it gets forgotten. And, I love my boys to death. That my platoon was great. And I wanted to put them all in their history books so they had something to look back on and be proud about.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to read the book, you're not going to read a lot about me. It's going to be about my guys, my platoon, my Marines, soldiers, sailors, seamen, whoever were in there. It talks about them. We have pictures, missions, what we did, and all that. So it's a good history book for people who like military history.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude. We'll definitely throw the link in there.
Absolutely.
It's something I'll download. That's why I listen to books, so that's huge.
Well, I want to thank you for calling in with us today, Mark. I look forward to seeing you in person, and thanks for kind of shining a light on 22 a day for us, giving us a brief description and going over the book and kind of giving us a little bit of your background. Awesome stuff you got, man.
Yeah, great. This is a good collaboration. But and like Nick said, I'd love to have you up here.
Gentlemen, thank
maybe
you.
We can plan something in the spring. Get you up here and get you sitting down.
Absolutely. It'll be a nice break from, like I said, my 5 daughters. It'll give me a good,
Yeah,
good
if you come up in the
little
spring, we'll do some bass fishing while we're up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that sounds great, gentlemen. I do appreciate it. And once again, thank you very much for allowing me the time on your show.
It was a
great
pleasure, buddy.
show. Everybody needs to watch your show. Some truly great messages. But Semper Fi, gentlemen, to you both.
Semper Fi, brother. We'll talk soon.
Semper Fi.